introduce yourself?
My name is Tom Bilyeu, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Impact Theory.
Okay. And can you tell us how you started your company and some of the kind of like hardships you faced, especially being a businessman and it being like a creative kind of job?
Yeah, sure. So the company was really about 16 years in the making. So I went to film school, graduated, had a screenplay, turned into a film starring Michael Madsen, and was not happy with how it turned out. And I met these two entrepreneurs who told me that you're coming to the world with your hand out, and if you want to control the art, then you've got to control the resources. So why don't you come with us and get rich, and then you can go do things the way that you want to do them. And I thought, that sounds amazing. I'm going to go do exactly that. And I thought it would take about 18 months. Ended up taking 15 years, but it did work. And our last company, which we took from not existing to being valued at over $1 billion in 5 years, gave me the capital to do this. The hardships that I faced in doing this is balancing the creative and the business is very hard. So if I were just the CEO or just one of the writers, it would be manageable. But when you're both the CEO and the writer, that's when it gets very difficult. So trying to manage my schedule becomes the biggest difficulty.
Can you talk about how you being in film school kind of influenced you as an artist?
Yeah, for sure. So going to film school was radically informative on me as an artist. It's that, one, just the age that you're at, you're a sponge, you're learning everything, you're totally malleable, you're open to influences from everywhere. And I was in a period of my life where I was just reading an unimaginable amount of comics, I was watching an unimaginable amount of films. I used to hold myself to the rule of 7 movies a week, which doesn't sound like a lot until you try to do it week after week after week, and you realize you have to watch a movie every day of your life while either going to school or working, and it's extraordinarily difficult, but it was so much fun. And if you love it, then you're really building this base of knowledge that you're able to draw on, which has come to serve me very well now as a comic creator, because you just have this wealth of information.
Okay. And transitioning from film school to more traditional comics, how did that kind of affect you as an artist?
Well, I don't know that I would say it affected me as an artist, but it certainly affects in terms of how you go about telling the story, because you have got to be true to the medium that you're working in. And writing for comics is very different than writing for film. There's a lot of things that stay true, character arcs, development, needing drama and conflict, like all of those things are the same. Having reversals, all of that is true in comics and in film, but there's a looseness to film, which is ironic because compared to novels, screenplays are just tight, tight, tight. But compared to screenplays, compared to comics, screenplays are really loose and have a lot of give. So it's, really getting down to the absolute minimum that you need to tell a compelling story, and to be that concise is an art form unto itself. So it forces us to be very specific, very concise, exactly what we want to do in every frame, and to be able to tell the story in frozen images, which is, it forces you to think in a new way.
So do you think that, do you think that because it is a comic book, you have more that you, I guess, more, it requires more thinking, because there's no music, there's no acting, it's just the image. So how does that, how do you get that to come across to the readers?
The interesting thing is, for the reader, it demands a lot more of them than a film. So, for instance, if I myself am tired, I'm not going to read a comic. I would watch a movie, right? Because it's a much more passive activity. It's going to keep moving whether you're doing any of the work or not. But a comic, on the other hand, really demands a lot of somebody to engage with it. As a creator, what it really does is force you to isolate down to the exact moment, the most important reaction, camera placement, everything just has to be absolutely perfect. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of room.
So, as far as drawing the actual cells for the comic book, do you think that because the fact that it's a comic book, that you have a tendency to over detail the actual cells themselves? or do you think that because it's a comic book and you have the option to add the color and all that stuff, you have more of like a creative kind of like free flow? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, so personally, I subscribe to the school of more is better when it comes to comics. I like detail. I don't like a lot of empty panels. Like if you have a panel where there's no background, that really better have a purpose. And I find that a lot of times, because the art is so hard to create, that artists will give you empty panels because it's faster and not because it's necessarily better for the story. And that's something that I like to see a lot of detail put into that. So we try to work with artists that really spend a lot of time on the backgrounds to give a rich visual feel for the reader, because you can convey more information. So things that you do in the background, the way that the camera's tilted, all of that stuff conveys a lot of information, and color the same. Like you can really convey a mood. So I think you need to take advantage of all the things that comics puts at your disposal. Now that doesn't mean that I don't love manga, because I do, but you have to be good at telling that story in black and white. You have to understand how to use that contrast, how to use the framing and the composition. Otherwise it just gets too simplistic.
Okay. So what do you want people to kind of take away from you guys' new comic book?
So this is very easy for me. Every book we ever write is going to have one thing at its core, and that's empowerment. I want people at the end of the book to feel like they're capable, as a real human being, they're capable of more than they were at the beginning of the book. And so all of our stories, even though there are going to be times where our characters lose, they don't accomplish their goal, but they will have gone on a journey where they go from scared, alone, broken, afraid, feeling weak, to realizing that they have power. That doesn't mean you always win, but it does mean that you come into your own as a person, and that's the journey that we want to tell.